So a 19th century teen was found in a wall in Illinois. She ended up at a museum. The police did some tracing, turns out she died more than 150 years ago during childbirth. That's all I know about the story. Let's react to the rest together.
This morning. My name is Rob Russell, and I am the coroner in Kane County. Okay. We are here today to bring closure to an incident that originated in 1978. This case started many years before it was made known to us and is an example of great teamwork. With me today are some of those team members. Next to me, I have Deputy Coroner Gabriella Allison. She is the lead investigator in this cold case. Next to Gabby is Michael Vogan. He is from Othram Incorporated in the Woodlands, Texas. Chief Mazza from the Batavia Police Department. Next to Chief Mazza is Kane County Chair Corrine Parag.
Right there.
And next to Corrine is Batavia Mayor Jeff Shelke. Also in attendance today, we have Kane County Board Member Leslie Juby over here.
You're going to name everybody.
Mr. Skinner discovered what appeared to be a human skull between the studs of the wall. Mr. Skinner immediately called the Batavia Police Department and an investigation was started. At that time, DNA and genealogical records were not as advanced as they are today, so options were limited. Okay. Batavia Police did an incredibly thorough investigation with what they had available at that time. Several outlets were
so whoever found her probably thought she was recent, like a serial killer tucked her in that wall.
Contacted to include national labs, museums, as well as colleges and universities. The most that could be obtained at that time was from a university professor who surmised that the skull was from a young woman around age 20. It was also determined that the skull was from someone prior to 1900. Batavia Police searched records for missing persons and no additional information was revealed. After the exhaustive search and investigation, the case grew cold. On March 10th, 2021, employees of the Batavia Depot Museum were cleaning and making room at the museum when a box containing a skull was found. Not knowing where the skull originated, museum employees called the Batavia Police to report the finding.
So they originally found it in 1978 or something, he said. But the forensic was limited, right? They were barely doing fingerprints back then, probably. So it was like, okay, it was somebody before 1900. So then it's probably just closed and says it's not a murder case. That's it. That's enough to say she ain't died recently. We need to investigate. The person be dead probably by then. And then it got to a museum somehow because it was so old. But then they forgot about it because it was tucked away. And then employees found it. It was like, oh my God, we got a skull here. We don't know who it belongs to. We need to call the police. Now we're here.
Batavia PD performed a search of their records and found the original 1978 report. No additional evidence was recovered from the search. The Batavia Police Department then decided to appropriately remand the skull to the Kane County Coroner's Office for continuation of the investigation. The next day, we continued the investigation, and because the case was minimally over 40 years old, I decided that the cold case team was best suited to investigate this incident. Deputy Gabriella Allison was assigned as the lead investigator. I started the cold case investigative team in July of 2015 to review old cases in response to citizens who had legitimate questions and concerns in relation to previous equivocal death rulings. Upon reviewing existing evidence and chasing down leads for 2 years, we became aware of a company called Othram Laboratory in Texas. This company performed a relatively new investigative technique called Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy, or we'll call it FIG, F-I-G-G for short.
FIG.
This is the same procedure that was used to catch the Golden State Killer in 2018. By the time we had heard of them, Othram had already solved over 100 cases across the country using this process. Our hope was that if FIG could solve these cases, then maybe a profile could be established for ours. Although our case was much older, we placed our hope in Othram's process. Othram graciously offered to look at the skull to determine if they could obtain any DNA from the skull, even though it was so old. After several weeks, Othram informed us that.
And look, R.I.P. to this young lady. Life is short; you only get one, and you'll never want to be forgotten. Imagine somebody finding you 150 years, 200 years from now, not knowing where you at, how you got there. R.I.P. to this young girl, man. Wow, I just want to stare at her for a second, like, oh man, just empathize with her experience. It's crazy world. No way she was sitting there giving birth. Hopefully the baby survived. So it's about to be a happy occasion, giving birth. Boom, she has to pass away. Shout out to all the women out there. It's a dangerous thing, birth.
They were able to obtain some usable DNA that they could test, and if they were able to obtain a profile, it could be run through their database where members of a family with similar ID could be discovered. Othram said that if we would like to do this procedure, the funding required could be obtained through a crowdfunding site as a means of obtaining the required fees needed. I felt that the public would be interested in helping in the solution, so the crowdfunding option appealed to me. So in December of 2023, a press release was sent out about the unknown identity of the 1978 found skull with an appeal to the public for their help. With the help of the media, many of you who are here today, and the generous individual citizens who answered that call, we were quickly able to gain the funds necessary to perform the ancestral match with the DNA from the skull.
The power of people, man. Power of people did something good.
Within 2 weeks of me officially authorizing the testing and genetic matching of the skull, Othram sent a report to us stating that the profiles had yielded a match. Not only did they have a match, but also a family tree with living relatives. Othram asked that we make contact.
Can you imagine getting a report, hey, we found your family remains in the attic?
With the assumed family lineage members for confirmation. We reached out to the second great-grandson of the person in question, and he submitted DNA to Othram to confirm a DNA family match. The grandson's DNA was confirmed as a match. We now know the skull found in the wall in Batavia as Ester Granger.
Ester Granger. Wow. She lives again.
Ester was born on October 26, 1848 in Indiana.
She's living again right now. She is living again right now. Everybody watching this video, say her name. Ester Granger. Ester Granger. Ester Granger. That's crazy.
In 1865, at 16 years old, she married Charles Granger, and after a few months became pregnant with their first child. In May of 1866, Ester gave birth to a baby girl, but lost her life soon after due to complications from childbirth. She was buried in Maryville, Indiana, leaving behind a husband to care for their newborn daughter. In honor of his deceased wife, Charles named the baby girl Esther, the same name as her mother. So the question remains, if she died in 1866 in Indiana, how did she end up in a wall of a house in Batavia?
Yes, sir.
We will never definitely know exactly, but with records and good reasoning, we've come to a common sense theory. We believe Esther was a victim of grave robbing. Grave robbing was quite common in that era, as it was quite profitable. The grave robbers made the equivalent of 3 to 4 months' earnings for an average person working 60 hours a week. One body every few months would give a grave robber a reasonable living, which is why it was so attractive at that time. It was also dangerous. Although it was illegal, many law enforcement agencies did not enforce it. Justice was relegated to vigilantes, many of whom were family members of the deceased. Many riots occurred in response to known grave robbing incidents across the country, and several perpetrators of the crime were murdered. One such riot occurred here
They get
in
mad.
Kane County in the city of St. Charles in 1849.
People get look. You touching people. See how disrespectful these rappers is today with going to people's gravesite, and it's always been a big thing, man.
In an incident called Richard's Riot, which is a separate. Esther was not part of that riot. Again, there is no absolute answer to how Esther ended up in that wall or where the rest of her body is located, but being a victim of grave robbing does fit the bill. Since discovering Esther's identity, we were able to make contact with Esther's second great-grandson, Wayne Sviler. Wayne has been a great asset in helping us to determine Esther's identity. We are very honored to be able to serve his family by restoring a sense of decency to the life and death of his second great-grandmother.
Everybody know about
With the approval from her family, Ester Granger was laid to rest in Batavia at West Batavia Cemetery in a columbarium space donated very kindly by the city of Batavia. Wayne Sviler gave an appropriate eulogy to his grandmother he never physically knew. However, stated he felt he knew Esther because he had such a great relationship with his own mother and grandparents. He knew Esther through them. The positive identification and probable theory of how Esther's remains were found in a house in Batavia was surmised through an intense investigative process. We are detectives sworn to uphold and investigate the truth behind those who pass on from this world. Although the entire office and our partners work together to conclude this investigation, I would like to specifically thank the following people and agencies. Special thanks to Deputy Gabriella Allison. She's been the hands and feet of this investigation. She spent not only hours, weeks, and months, but years at performing this investigation. I'd like to special thanks to the Batavia Police Department. They've been step in step with us the entire process. We just really appreciate what they've done. The City of Batavia and Mayor Shelkey, thank you. Thank you for stepping up and giving Esther a final resting place. The Batavia Depot Museum, thank you. Thank you for doing the right thing and calling the police and helping us to solve this crime, this incident, that crime. Othram Laboratories, without them, we would be nowhere. Mr. Wayne Sviler, who I believe is online, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, he could not make it. He lives in Portland, Oregon. So he was able to make it through Zoom.
The
and
skull,
we will have him on.
they got the skull right there. I didn't even notice that. Is that it? Or is that just like a replica?
And have him available for questions for those that are interested. Thomas Doggett from Thomas Doggett Photography, he took the forensic photos of the skull. And 3D Resin Solutions of South Elgin. They 3D printed the replica of that skull, which is right here. This is not the actual skull. This is the 3D printed replica of the actual skull.
That's
the actual
right.
skull has been
laid to rest.
Forensic artist Natalie Murray, who was able to take the skull. You can get that other, that one, and actually give us a picture of what Esther may have looked like. Is that not cool or what? Very cool, very excellent. I'd also like to thank my chief, Lauren Carrera, my assistant chief, Rebecca Nielsen, and the entire staff. They've all been great. We've all done our part as a good team does. Lastly, but not least, I want to thank all the citizens who donated resources and said prayers for a successful outcome.
In North America that was built exclusively to generate human ID from forensic evidence, be it unidentified human remains, like in this case, or even suspect DNA. We built a complete end-to-end forensic process completely in-house that looks at hundreds of thousands of markers of DNA. Using these markers of DNA, we built these high-performing profiles that can then be used to upload into databases and connect families. And that's what we did in this case. And so I want to thank all these folks for trusting us to assist, and we're happy with the outcome.
About Maureen Kelly. She's the other half of my cold case team. We've got a few other cases we're working on, and we'll continue to work on.
Like they're just telling us about the rest of their case and identifying everybody. Listen, cave dwellers. When I started this video, seeing that title right there, teen girl found in home's wall identified, I could not guess that it would turn out like that. That's a happy ending to me right there. You have a young girl married, which was normal at that time, at that age. Unfortunately, demise after giving birth to a wonderful baby girl. I'm sure Ester Granger, the second, right? She a junior after her mama. That baby girl survived. That means her father raised her, got her together. She probably had it. Hopefully, she had a good life. At the same time, her grave was robbed, put in the attic somewhere, just discarded. Found that little girl grew up, had children, had more children. Her children had children. Her skull was so many things had to go right. Her skull was found, but they couldn't do nothing with it. Sent to a museum because they knew it was old, right? So that means those people who found it in the attic cared. Then they gave it to the police who cared enough to take it to the museum and get forensic done. And then it was then a new staff of people came in years and years later, found this skull, then they treated it right. They could have put it in the corner against it. I ain't dealing with this. Oh, that ain't mine. I ain't see nothing. But they did the proper thing. The police then got it. They took it serious. It's a cold case now. They went and solved it. They went the extra mile of going to these people. Then they gave them a price. Then they put it at this GoFundMe because they're like, hey, this is a history project at this point, not police. Then people come together, get the Kickstarter, fund it. Boom. He said, quick. Then they do this, and then they get this, and then the family's found, and then they get their story complete. I'm sure if you their family members, that it's your grandma, you got her on the like you showing everybody. You gonna show everybody the story. You gonna put her picture right here on a mantle and just be like, oh my God, this is a woman. Look how strong she was. Yeah, that's crazy. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. I love this story right here. This is one for the books right here. Let me know what y'all think. Esther Granger lives again for a moment in time. Give her 15 minutes of fame. She deserves it. Wow.